the easiest way to get started for a build along like this. And so I just shared in the chat this guide, which will have a few things. If you're new to Lindy, we have a community code. You can use that code to save up to 75% off your first month. And the main reason we recommend paying for Lindy is the Sora 2 node is an advanced node. So if you're on the free version, you can't use something like that, which is okay. If you're just here to listen along, that's one way to go through it. We recommend building, and for new tools like Lindy or other things, we always recommend pay for the first 30 days. And if you don't get the value, then you can leave. That's also totally okay. So you've got this code. My recommendation, go to click this code and just make an account now, because we're going to use that in 10 minutes to start building. In the guide itself, you've got both the follow along. So as Dylan builds and you're like, Dylan, what's that prompt? The prompt is in here. So anything that you need is here. If we missed anything, just drop it in the chat and I'll help add that in. And then lastly, the thing I'll share is we're doing this as a build along where you build step by step. So you'll be able to get to what this flow is with an output of a multi-step short form video. If you don't want to build and you really want to listen, we shared the template, and the template will have everything set up. So you can actually just start from this, follow along and kind of click along. So do what you will for the next hour. We recommend building from a blank canvas. That's part of these hour session, is really getting to figure out how to build and going through the pain points of things not working. We're here to support it. But if you want to, you can also just click from the template to make it easier. So that's it from my side. Pass it over to Dylan for the session.
Yep. I'd also add, like, we're going to be making API calls pretty intensive, so they could take a while. During that time, if we're waiting, feel free to ask any questions as we go along. Also, so there's a template. You can use the template, and it's going to go. It'll work nicely. I'm going to do a little bit different. One thing, I'm going to go off memory, so the prompts will probably be a little bit different. But also, I'm going to shorten it. The template builds a 5-act video. In the interest of time, I'm going to see if just doing two clips and combining them will get us there quicker. But other than that, yeah, let's dive in.
Cool. To click off, would love to just like warm up the chat. We're going to use the chat for live questions. Just drop in the chat. Have you used Sora 2 or VO3? Just drop in the chat. Yes, Sora 2, VO3. Curious just how people are coming in with experience in video generation. So feel free to open up the chat. It's on the bottom right, and just drop in what have you used so far. So we just got a baseline.
And before we actually build, maybe I'll show. I did a couple of these. I'll show off the longer form one. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear the sound. I try to make it silent anyway, so I don't think the sound's that important. But just to show what the end result here. This is trying to do like a silent film era horror film, and here's the result.
The stairs spiraled up into shadow, and the keeper's notes.
So this one is 5-act. So to start, I'm only doing 4-second. You can generate up to 8, maybe 12. I don't know if through Lindy I can do 12 seconds, but I think I can do at least 8 seconds. Those cost more. They're more intensive. They take longer. Let's see, VO3. No, if you go into the generate video in Lindy, it defaults to VO3, but you can select Sora 2. And yeah, so what I'm saying is I'm generating 4-second clips here for this one, but you can generate 8 seconds, so it would be a bit longer. So I think all the clips here combined are like less than 20 seconds. We could get that probably closer to a 30-second. And then yeah, let's dive in. So what I want to do here is, instead of writing and then having it generate the video, I don't want to do any of that. I want to have the AI handle everything. Ideally, we could pass in, if we want to repetitively generate videos, we could pass in what we want the topic to be. I'm not even going to do that today. I'm just going to do a prompt, generate horror, generate a series of scenes, and then we'll build more and more prompts as we go until we get to a point where we have nice descriptive prompts that then we pass to Sora to generate the actual videos.
And before we start building, Dylan, can you just maybe click around Lindy just to show, 1, how to create a blank canvas, 2, talk about what the canvas is a node, just kind of do like a quick 2-3 minute intro to just what we see, because first time seeing Lindy can be a lot, or even people who use Lindy are like, oh, I didn't know that was there. So maybe just do a quick tour as you know it to start off.
Yeah, I can do that. So here's Lindy. It's an agent builder. They have a side menu. Things are organized nicely, but they have new agent. You can click to actually create a new one. Like most things, you can prompt it, but I'm just going to go start from scratch. If you hit that, you get this select trigger. You can select from a bunch of things like send an email, send a Slack message, close to anything you want. They have tons of integration. For our purposes, I'll just ignore that, and we'll do a do nothing. Do nothing, and then from there I can delete the trigger, and then always add steps. It's workflow, so it's a series of steps. Each step feeds into the next, and steps up the line feed. At any step down the line, you can grab the output from individual steps. So if I do like here, I'm going to do an LLM call, and just as a test, we'll say, I always test with this, generate me a poem about filmmaking. And then you can turn it on. And then from there, we have tasks. And as long as you have at least one actual step, you can't just have do nothing. You have to have at least one thing that's actually doing something. Once you're there in tasks, you'll get this this plus sign, hit that, do nothing, and it'll run the task. And then you get a nice log of the steps as they ran, what their inputs and outputs were, things like that. Let's see, big poem. Yeah, and then I could, in theory, just one more, just do another LLM call. Just show this off, and then I can take the output from that one, put it in here, and I could say, let's do for a second. Summarize this poem in 3 lines. Turn on, always got to hit turn on. Run it again. Makes one call. See if we get the poem again. Kind of looks like the same one. And then it passes this in, and we get the output. Guess that's 3 lines. And then if you wanted, you can do things. That wrong thing. One. Like perform an action, Slack. Can message it on Slack, DM, post to a channel, same Gmail, and things like that. Outlook, Salesforce. They basically integrate with all the big names. With that in mind, I'll move back to this one because I'm going to do something pretty similar there. So I'm going to add an LLM call to this.
And maybe as you added the action, Dylan, for the LM call, can you even just talk through like this side panel? There's a lot of different things in that side panel. So I think for most people, they'll keep it on auto mode. Like, can you just talk through as you see here what they are? So as people are getting onboarded and started, and we look at that side panel, we can start understanding like what is that for each node?
Yeah. I mean, this one's defaulting to manual. So, and then as I go further, there'll be some more autos talk over. So as a prompt for this, I just want to get like a baseline, kind of a storyboard of what the video will be. I think I'll start, the last one was pure horror, so I think I'll go with sci-fi. You are a sci-fi writer tasked with coming up with a plot and setting, let's say plot, setting, and series of characters for an upcoming short silent film. Generate, let's say, okay. Provide me the following character types, protagonist, love interest, foil, antagonist. And then I think that's for characters. For setting, make sure. Okay, for setting, choose one of the following. Maybe we'll say Arctic base, space station, icy moon. I don't know. Let's stick with those three. And then for plot, choose one of the following. Monster, battle, or maybe we could say cabin fever, just to make it interesting. Find me the, oh yeah, and then 5, monster, if applicable. And we'll turn the temperature up. It kind of tells you here, but for temperature, if it's 0, it's going to be pretty straightforward. I find if it's 0, it almost seems like it generates the same thing every time. If we turn it up, maybe we'll look at 0.5 and see how that goes. Turn it on, and let's just see what our result is here. Okay, maybe this is kind of what so you can, for each one of these, there's this drop down that you can do manual. Right now, these are defaulting to manual. Usually they default to auto, and when you do auto, it like will take the context and AI will generate what the value is. That can be pretty hit or miss, depending. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes it's crazy. There's also this prompt AI, which it lets you type a prompt, but also adds in a lot of that context, so you can specify, you know, the AI still generates, but you can specify conditions under which to generate the value. For now, I'm going to leave them. Maybe it could be interesting to see, like, you know, auto the temperature, auto the output tokens. I don't know if that should be 0. We'll see what that does. I don't think that should be 0 though. And we'll run it, do nothing, make an LLM call. Okay, and so we get, I think we'll run it a couple times to see how close they are. Long night, icy moon base, a monster, bioluminescent creature awakes from the subsurface ocean, protagonist. Yep, looks like it generated them all. So I'm going to run it one more time just to make sure that it's not completely identical. Looks like it kind of is. Not completely, but it's pretty close. I think that's okay though. Turn the temperature up a little bit. Save. And then I'm going to add the next step. So for the next step, once we have that, I want to actually generate scenes. Like I said, I'm going to stick to 2. So I think if we're going to stick to 2, what I'll do is I'll make it like a traditional short, which has really 2 scenes, a hook and then a value, like a value add, which is the longer scene. So for here, maybe we can auto this. And maybe I'll even, just to see, and even on this one, maybe I'll go down here and set this to auto. And then for the prompt, we want to generate the scene. So I'm going to say, you are a sci-fi writer tasked with storyboarding a short film. The film is comprised of 2 scenes, a 4-second hook, and an 8-second. I want to say value add, 8-second. Say maybe instead of hook, and an 8-second ending. Make the scenes descriptive and self-contained. You are given the following list of characters, setting, and plot. Be sure to incorporate them in scenes. And then for me, I find this more reliable, so I usually always have prompts return the scenes as a JSON list of strings. And let's just see, it's a pretty simple prompt, but I think it'll do okay.
Before you go into testing that, Dylan, can you go back? Someone was asking about One, can we use an agent to change the temperature? That's an interesting question. I'm looking at the meta actions right now, but on the temperature, can you show what the prompt? So there's auto, which is Lindy deciding. There's manual, which is you putting it in. Could you show how you would prompt the AI to decide the temperature? Because I think, and Ignacio, feel free to correct me us if you're wrong, if we're wrong here. I think your question is like, how do we add a level of like planning and intelligence in the workflow? So yeah, Dylan, how would you prompt this so it could actually decide how creative, not creative, just with that feature?
Yeah, that makes sense. So if I do prompt AI, then it's going to inject the context. I still need to come up with the prompt itself. So in that case, I would say probably something like, we want to be as creative as possible while still sticking to the setting, plot, characters tightly. No new characters. No new characters added. Just stick with that. So I do something like that for temperature. And then I think there's another use case for this once we're in the loop, but we can leave that for now.
Yeah, that works. And one thing I would add to the temperature prompt, if there's, I know Ignacio, you said you're using this for like brands, you could also say, hey, when working with an e-commerce brand and we want less creativity, then stay within this temperature range. Or if we want more creativity and we're going for inspiration, you can use this temperature range. So just as you would talk to an assistant in natural language, you could add conditions or context there. That's the highest level where it's deciding for itself. But you also could, if there's a range that you found works well for your workflow or your desired output, you could also put that in the prompt there, and it'll decide based off the context that it has.
Yeah. And then maybe because I did hit this before I switched back, so let's see if it seems better. Maybe I could even do that, the same exact prompt, or a close one. Well, I did auto, so maybe that's okay. Maybe we'll leave that. I think auto's fine for the initial one. So we could see, given this, this still seems like pretty similar Icy Moon, even with auto. For here, take a look at these. Okay, so the characters are pretty similar to when I just had the temperature set manually. Let's see if that changes if I run it again. So it goes to 0.7. That's higher. Okay, this is definitely a little bit different. Still monster. Still seems like the archetypes fit in pretty nice, but at least it's not the exact same setting. Let me call. Yeah, and then it chose 0.8 for this one. True. So we have two scenes. Fade in on the vast emptiness of space. Station Meridian rotates slowly against the ice moon. Close on. Video monitor shows station commander Voss. Okay.
And as you're looking at some of the outputs, Dylan, like what are some of your thoughts? Because the goal is to design this to be autonomous, where it's cranking out shorts and videos. What are some of your thoughts as you look at like, is this quality enough, or I'm about to spend credits and in time to make a Sora video? How do you think about some of the evaluation right now, just based off your intentions for this?
Yeah, my biggest thing that I was looking for there is like, does it end? I think even on the last one, they don't. They just keep flowing, and so it doesn't. It can be jarring, like it goes from one character walking and then another character doing something totally different. Maybe we still want to add some prompting when we get into the loop in a second, but for now, it seems like it at least ends nicely, and then can move on to the next one, which again ends pretty nicely. I think just adding make it self-contained seems to have done a pretty good job of at least the description. Now we'll see if Sora feeds that description nicely, but so far I think it looks pretty good. Like again, I think it's like upstream. We may want, if we had more time, we could go into how to make this more like each time the main character's been a doctor, and like the love interest has been a command. So we want that to be a little more interesting. It's been like a monster moving every time, so there needs to be some kind of prompting to get a little more random. Go for it, Ignacio.
Yeah, thanks. Does it make sense, like at this step before creating the clip, to have another agent or a step to revise the prompt or the output of that, like the script, the poem, revise it and compare it to the theme or the things that you're doing to give it like a go no go before going into Sora?
Yeah, that definitely does make sense. And I have on the last one, I do add like a prompt to actually generate. So we could do it there, like in the loop at the top of the loop for each. We could do an LLM call that just says like evaluate. Maybe we would do a loop above. I think if you do it in the loop, then it might not work out. But we could evaluate before that and get a final list of scenes to then press forward with once we're really, really confident with them.
Yeah, and I'd say one thing about Lindy is there's a couple different ways you can bring that feedback loop in. One, if the goal for today is like fully autonomous, to your point, Ignacio, you could have an editing loop that says, hey, it would be an editing loop plus a condition filter. If you do not pass this editing loop, go back and regenerate with feedback. And if it beats the score, then continue. So you could do a filter before this. One thing we were talking about before this session was also human in the loop. You could also have a condition loop that says once done, send message. And if user doesn't approve, then go back. So in Lindy, where the blue plus is, you can drag that arrow and literally bring it back to the start of a workflow. So depending on if you want human in the loop or you want AI as an editor or even other ways, you can include that in this workflow. We're just setting it up to get like a good standard to run, but you could have different feedback loops to make sure, hey, we want even more quality with multiple edits or reviews, whether it's human or LLM. And if it doesn't pass, then send it back up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think for now, I would just move forward with generating, but that seems like a good, if I was going to put this in production, I would definitely have an eval like that. And then, I don't know, it'd be nice, the human in the loop works, but it'd be nice to have some kind of eval after Sora before you actually merge them and then upload. For now, I'll do a loop. Again, it's AI, so there's like items to loop through. AI can automatically fill it. We could see how well that does. Maybe if I perform an action and we just look at it, do nothing, just to see, does AI do a good job of picking that we're doing the scenes? I don't know that it will, so let's try it. See, do we get the same thing again? I see moon. All right. Scene one. Okay, at least the scenes are coming off. Like they seem a little more random. Maybe that's due to letting AI choose the temperature, or maybe it's just there's more entropy on the scene generation. I don't know. So, and then for loop, you have to go up here actually to see the different iterations. So here's the first one. See what it is. Okay, so we do get it looks like it is operating on the scenes. So then in that case, maybe what I would do is I would replace this with an LLM call, one last LLM call. And in that prompt, I would do maybe prompt AI just so it has the context. I would say taking just the scene description here, make it as vibrant and detailed as possible, keeping in mind it must be self-contained, and we want to return only the scene description, no other details or syntax. Again, I would do this. Maybe prompt AI worked pretty good. We want to stick to the outline of the scene while allowing for enough creativity to get an interesting result. And then I'm just going to move forward with it to perform an action, video, generate video. I could choose Sora 2, video duration. Maybe I could do auto because we want the first one to be 4 seconds, the second to be 8. So let's do auto and see how it does. These are okay. Size. We're gonna do a portrait. Prompt. We'll even leave that. Turn it on. And then let's run it. Ignacio said, if you want to do more clips, would you use a loop or use it as a variable within the prompt or run it more time? Definitely, well, you would need to use a loop every time. It kind of depends. Like in this case, if I just wanted, this one I'm specifically calling out like the 2 scenes. So you could really make that variable, but in the other one, if you look, I'm doing 5 and you could just in theory make that a variable that you replace 5 with 10 or when I didn't put that, there were some times where it was generating like 18 scenes, which is almost, a couple minute long movie.
And I think too, if you get multiple scenes and you want the quality better too, you can also change the base model. So with 4.5 Haiku coming out from Sonnet, that's the baseline for what performs best, both for the agentic workflows and for each node. So if you're like, hey, I actually want to use more thinking, you could use a more advanced model too, which might change the output because it's generating multiple scenes and it's thinking through a lot of different layers. So you can test which base model hits kind of the creative layer or the output that you're looking for.
Yeah. And feel free, any extra, especially these API calls, now that we get into those, they're going to take a couple minutes each. So yeah, feel free to ask any more questions, anyone else as well.
Question for you, Dylan, if you've seen some outputs via VO and via Sora, have you noticed any differences, like stylistically or things that you personally like from a video generation perspective? Because when thinking about videos, Google and OpenAI are relatively new compared to just some other diffusion models. So just using Sora 2 API is brand new, Sora 2 as a model is new. Anything you notice that you either like or just, some differences stylistically from videos?
Not in style. I think it, like a lot of the AIs, they seem to converge on a similar style. I think the big difference is like what makes Sora so quote unquote good is that it doesn't really veer off into randomness. It seems like if you give it a good enough description, it always works, or it always matches close enough to that description without adding anything. Like I think the example they gave was like people would generate someone like throwing a basketball into the hoop, and if it didn't miss, it would like go off to the side and then like come back because it had to get to with Sora 2, it's more likely that it would throw the basketball, and if it goes off to the side, you would see it bounce back from the correct side. So it is a lot more reliable. It's more like, I don't know if there's more physics going on. There's more of like a world inside the videos, which I think comes across pretty obviously when you see them generated. So here's our first one. It only generated 1, which is weird. So we'll look into that in a second, but just to show it. Yep, go for it, Ignacio.
How would you get avatars into the video? Like get an input, create an avatar from pictures, and then get it as an input for the video, so your video created uses the same character.
Yeah, you can add reference files. So you can add images and things like that. I think you could probably even add video clips. I haven't tried that. I haven't tried this with Sora 2. A lot of the videos let you do images. I've done that in the past. I haven't seen them be that great. Sora 2 maybe is different, but usually it's like really close to the image you want, but it's not. It's close enough to be kind of annoying that it's not exactly what you want.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest updates for Sora 2, especially with the open source model for people being able to try on different like avatars or skins. I think they really worked on persistence and high fidelity for the reference image. And on Lindy, in terms of being able to get that image, you could store it in the cloud, like a Google Drive folder, and you would just say like, get this reference link before that particular call.
All right, thanks.
So we'll see this one still taking kind of a little bit. And the question is it Sora throttling me, or is it Lindy? Because I've been generating a ton of videos over the last day.
My guess is it's Sora. I think they've opening up their API. Even Google, when they release VO3, Google has more users maybe than OpenAI, but Google still rates VO3 from their main window to 3 videos a day. So I think just like the compute needed for generating video, there's been a lot of talks in the last couple of weeks. Like we're just not there yet in terms of infrastructure. So yeah, my guess is Sora 2 is wild. They just released it. Just hey, go build with it.
Yeah. All right. So this ended up being 4 seconds. Also, so the prompt could be improved there. So yeah. That one's not great. Weirdly, it's not showing up here. I don't know why. But we'll press on with it just to show the final. So what I would do next is upload the file. I'm going to use Google. They have a few other things you can use, but I'll just stick to my Google Drive. Upload file. Horror movie gen. Yeah, and I'll leave all this. So I'll upload the file, and then the next thing, they have a merge video. There's a bug in it right now. Ideally, we could just do this merge videos node. I reached out to them, so I think this will probably be fixed pretty quick. For now, it's not working, so I'm having to use their computer use. So what this does is it seems like it spins up a VM on their side, so it's not actually running on your computer. It runs on some third party, some VM that they control, and it has browser, terminal, everything you'd want to use. So I can have it. What I'm going to have it do is download the files that I just uploaded, merge them together, and then re-upload them here. So then I can push it to my Google Drive here. That's pretty simple. You just do a prompt like anything else. For this, I'll say take the uploaded files from Google Drive and merge them together. Provide a public URL to use. I think that should work. Merge them together in order. And then I'll take that one, do upload file again. Upload file. Exit once we have the public URL, and then upload file. Only thing I'm going to do is instead of auto, I'm going to do prompt here. And I'm going to say make the name start with final output dash. Turn on. I want there to be some way into the loop. I don't think this worked all right, so I'm going to change video duration and say make the first clip 4 seconds, the second clip 8, and then prompt. I didn't like how that one was just like a static image, so I need to say something to make it not do that. Prompt AI, make sure end result is a realistic video. I don't know. We'll see that. We'll see how well that goes.
I think one thing you could do for that prompt too is when thinking about some of the prompts that have been used for VO3 over the summer, and now we're just starting to see Sora 2. In the prompt itself, you're pretty much a staging director and producer on set. So you could also say, hey, make sure there's camera movement, make sure there's character movement, and there's like specific words that are really specific to video. So when you say like realistic video, maybe that'll work. Fingers crossed. The lowest effort's always the highest yield for the prompts. But for specific creative direction, if you know you want like crazy camera pans, that something like that can say, hey, make sure there's camera movement in the prompt, and those are different variables you can play with for what you want to generate.
Yeah, I think I'll add that here up above in the actual scene description. So maybe I could tell it like you are a storyboard. Is that a thing? Storyboarder for a sci-fi film. Be sure to include camera movements, lighting, even character emotions, etc. Let's see how much better that does. And I'm still going to leave this. Yeah, still going to leave that. And then see how it does. Well, it failed somehow. Let's see. Get the scenes. Maybe I just need to try again. Terminate. I think so. Something weird happened there because it even removed the plus for a second. So
You say sometimes working with Lindy, because it's an abstraction layer on top of a whole machine, it feels like a 90s computer. Sometimes it is just like reset, refresh, click again. Sometimes that helps.
yeah, Ignacio.
How reliable has Lindy worked for you in terms of having something already working and then you program it to work every other time or in a certain period of time and then stop working? Because that's a little bit my experience right now.
Can you speak more to an example of like when it stopped working? Like, is there just certain failures that it has, or there's actually like certain failures at like the node level, or certain failures where like things haven't run at all?
For example, I've made automations that require Lindy to get into a file and depending on how many steps to repeat the cycle or repeat the actions, and it performs like perfectly once or twice, and then the next time's just the first step, and there's errors that just like out of nothing, where it used to work perfectly. So that's like my question, like if like things are always moving and then you need to be like constantly correcting things that already worked, or is it just like my thing that maybe I have something wrong?
It's a good question. Don't have enough context for that specific example. Feel free to send a follow-up afterwards. I think what we've seen is usually it's setting up an agent right. It's more like a human manager than just like hard coding something and expect it to run, because Lindy is an AI assistant and agent building platform. It's all probabilistic, and so usually it's really setting up the workflow in the right way to make sure the workflow doesn't fail. And even something as simple, one of the things we struggled with this one for the merge node video, maybe it's the merge video node where it wasn't getting the files. Maybe it was Google Drive. Something like file IDs with Google Drives is very finicky in Lindy, and it's because it's trying to guess every single time. And even Google Drive has different syntax for when to pull up a file. So first, it's usually in the structure of the agent. That's usually the first thing. And then in terms of Lindy, it's the best platform we've seen for production level agents. We've helped startup founders build customer support agents that run 100 every day for 30 days with no error. And so again, I think it's probably going to be in the setup. And if there are any problems, the third usually root cause is like an API or integration is offline. So like the AWS fiasco this week, there are Lindy itself might have worked or had certain errors, but the integrations they were using also have errors. So because Lindy integrates with so many other things, there's so many dependencies. So it's going to be really specific to that flow. And happy to follow up afterwards if there's more time here, or even just after the session if you want to just share screen and talk through that.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, but it might be that actually.
An example of just like the error that just came up for Dylan, that was like the Sora 2 node itself failed. So don't know if it's like Lindy or Sora 2, but we're doing a bunch of API calls really quickly for a brand new node. And so my main assumption is it's Sora 2, but yeah, like they may be getting like a rate error limit or something with the Sora 2 API, which when you get errors like this, you can also always send it to the Lindy team. They have a really active support channel. You say, hey, I got this error. Is this on your all side or is it on my side? So they've been really quick to provide support also for errors that aren't so clear.
And what about like you're accessing Sora 2 via Lindy, and would it help like to have like a higher level account in OpenAI, and then have an app and like an API key and connect directly to your account over there? Or do you think that this will work better because it's embedded in Lindy?
I think I can't say specifically for Lindy, but I think right now OpenAI doesn't actually grant access. You have to go through Azure to get access to Sora API, which is why I'm using Lindy. I was going to just try to do the 8, but then it's a process to get Azure set up and then get granted access to Sora through there. So you can definitely go that route for sure, and it's probably going to be as reliable though in the end, because I think like they probably have a pretty premium account. They probably spend a lot of money through Azure. So you're probably going to end up with rate limits, about the same level. I think the only benefit you might have is if you're working in code or something, you're going to be calling the API directly, where here something can go wrong in Lindy here that you can't control. And yeah, Michael, maybe you can speak. I don't know if you're allowed to use
just in terms of keeping up with the latest, I think because Lindy spends across all of their APIs, they have an extremely high tier. They're on like the OpenAI leaderboard for some of the most tokens spent just from individual accounts. So when you think about rate limits or unique access to APIs like that, benefit of something like Lindy is they get access to something. If it's a new model like Haiku 4.5, they have it released within 24 hours. If it's a brand new API offering like Sora 2, I think it only took them like a week to integrate that. So they released their AI CMO last week. And I'm guessing if I was internal in the team, they were prepping with VO3, they were excited for it. And as they released it, they had Sora 2 just locked into it too. So being able to try and experiment on Edge, if you're running a creative agency and you need videos and you don't have API access yet, it's a way to get early access. But longer term, depending on different needs, you might rely on your own API access.
I wonder if maybe I should try using some other model just to see if that's the cause, just because it is taking a little bit with Sora.
Yeah, maybe try VO3 fast. Is that one of the options on the?
It is, yeah. I'll try that just to confirm the actual merging and everything works, or at least just so people can see it. That takes a while in itself too, but just so people can see what that process looks like. So see VO3 fast, turn on, let's go to task.
And as this is going to take a few more minutes to run, we've got another 13 minutes in this call, and we really want to support the back end of this call for open questions. So it can be specific to this workflow, can be specific to ideas that you all have, or just questions that are top of mind. So feel free, you can post them in the chat. You can raise your Google Meets hand. You can just unmute. We want to make sure, as we're not all just going to watch a loading screen for the next 13 minutes. So appreciate the questions coming in from like Gopi and Ignacio. Feel free to ask questions as we go, because the wrapping and discussion is usually one of the best ways to end these. So feel free to ask questions as we go.
Yeah, see, this does it a little bit better. The camera glides through frosted viewports. Looks a little bit better. Oh, here we go. This actually. Okay. All right, now let's see. Okay, and this did get the right number of seconds. I wonder, did anyone load up the template? Is anyone testing or? Yeah.
I say as people are building too, the Lindy team, they really want to cultivate a build community, and so we did a workshop with them in person on Thursday just for the CMO launch, which was awesome to see it and hear from the team as the early demo. And what they're doing for the global virtual community is they've got a build challenge where you can win up to 1K in cash, and then I think it's like 50,000 credits or whatever the prize is. So if this is interesting for you, you're like, hey, already got partway there, you can use this as a starting point or build your own and submit it to for a challenge that's coming up. So it's the first time they're doing something like this, and definitely interesting for the community.
Yeah. Here's an example of one of the things I was saying Sora is so much better at. Let's see. Watch this. And then like the walls and stuff, everything becomes ice. I don't know. It's like it doesn't actually know about the world.
But it's sci-fi. Maybe the physics are different. Kidding.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so it did at least generate those two. Now we're into computer use.
Because if you hit the expand arrows on the left side of that, what you just clicked, yeah. So for computer use, you can monitor and watch as it's happening. And this is just going to take time, as Don mentioned. It's going to download, and we'll see how it combines it. But one thing we'll say about computer use, because it's an agent node, it was very lightly prompted, so it's actually trying to figure out itself. And I think one of the really interesting things about this particular agent it's very persistent. So if it makes an error, like, hey, I tried to download it, but the files aren't working or the link doesn't work, it will iterate. It does a really good job at fixing through errors, whether it's writing code in terminal, loading things, testing things online. So it's a very persistent node, which is really cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that earlier with the term. Well, after this, it has to get to the terminal, and earlier I didn't give it access. Like my drive was private only, so I don't think it could download, and it was just like constantly trying every way possible in the terminal to like download it.
And I think that's one thing as people are as watching this, what we usually recommend when you're building a workflow for the first time, just as Dylan tested individual nodes to gauge the output. If you have something broken farther up, it's just going to lead to a lot of challenges further down in the workflow because everything gets fed forward. But especially if you're using computer use, it's helpful just to watch the first one. Like most agents right now are at like intern or associate level. So just like an intern who's about to publish a video, sitting down for 2 minutes goes, oh, okay, you're not taking the fastest route there. Oh, okay, you got stuck here. To not lose credits or to make sure that the node works, just watching it and then pausing it and then iterating. That is the state we are in terms of agent building. And so, yeah, this is usually best practice.
Yeah, you can see here it doesn't know where the files are, so it's spamming commands to try to find them. Let's hope it finds them because I don't know where they're at either. So hopefully I did watch it download them, so they definitely they were in I could even verify the download through the browser, so they definitely got downloaded somewhere.
And the other thing too, with this being an agent node, everything by default in Lindy right now is Haiku 4.5 from Anthropic. And Haiku has the same level of intelligence as Sonnet 4, but 3 times cheaper. So that works for like 90% of nodes and workflows. It's really balanced and intelligent. For something like an agent node, if you need more intelligence, Sonnet 4.5 might be better. It'll cost a little bit more credits, but especially for harder tasks that you want done or that Haiku struggles with, this is where maybe switching out Sonnet could also help this future iterations.
Yeah, it does seem like it's struggling to find them though.
I say at this point, better just to pause it or terminate it, maybe update the prompt and update the intelligence.
Yeah. Let's see. I think I can read. Yeah, okay. Stop. Can I I don't know if I can restart it. So maybe what I'll say, I don't know, it seemed fine. It looked like it downloaded them, but I'll just change it to the exact prompt I had earlier. Getting files from upstream. Combine them in order with ffmpeg. Add output public URL. Maybe we'll try that. I don't know if the intelligence was the problem there, but we'll try it anyway.
I say we used Haiku when getting ready for this, and I think, yeah, it was just an idea for like helping other people troubleshoot that node too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say the one thing I like from N8N over Lindy is I could like restart from like just at the computer use, and I wouldn't have to redo everything with updated nodes. One benefit I think they have. See how this looks. I think the weird thing is the intro clip. It seemed like VO actually did a better job than Sora at, like, Sora, for the intro at least, the background was always like crazy, like plasma looking, where here it actually is space. So it seems like it's better. VO is winning out on backgrounds so far.
Preview it off.
Okay. But I think the 8-second is where it struggled. Okay. Maybe we'll get there before we run out of time.
Stop this. Both of you stop this right now. We are running out of time. The air won't last another hour.
All right, seemed a little bit better. Now let's look at this. All right, let's watch it. And I know we are at time, so definitely feel free to hop if you need to. I'm gonna try to see this through over the next couple of minutes, but yeah, we'll also, if we get the final generated video, we'll paste a public shared Google Drive link, so at least you can see what the final video looked like.
We can also turn this. We know this one was like a custom for sci-fi shorts. We can share this one as a template too. So you have access both to the template as this one was built, using the same structure as the template you all have, and then also share the video.
Yeah. Okay, definitely downloaded them again. I don't know why it's struggling with the downloads all of a sudden. Or if it just gave up.
Are there any permissions that might be blocking it? So it thinks it downloaded something because it clicked the button, but it's not getting the file. So Google Drive just updated their permissions. I think it was last month, where it's just a lot stricter at the file level, or at the at the folder level. So if a folder is private, then the file can't be made public. So maybe
The folder is public, but also I watched it on Chrome. It did pop up in the little download.
Got it, and then it got the download going. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was definitely downloading it. I don't know. But I think if this doesn't work, we'll just call it and
As we see if this works, a couple other ways to, because it's an agent node using a full virtual machine, there's a lot of layers just like this where it can go wrong. I think one, in terms of the prompt, can probably make the prompt more instructional, step by step, like, hey, you're going to download the file from Google Drive. The Google Drive file will be in this folder. And then from there, give it like more strict instructions, because it's trying to think through a plan and that plan isn't working. So it's one way to try it. And on the second part for Lindy, for computer use, you can actually configure the virtual machines. So right now it's like, we don't know where it's being downloaded. Is it in the downloads folder? Is there a different folder on the virtual machine? And so if you click on the start computer and then on the configure button, that gives you manual access. It's like logging into a Chrome tab for the first time, where you can actually log into certain things. People have given it access to their like X or LinkedIn accounts. You could give it access to a Google Drive account. And so what that does is it makes a personal computer for whatever workflow you're using. And then based off of that, you might be able to even direct it, hey, make sure the downloads go here. So just like on a computer, you would change which folder goes or what it looks like. Yeah, those are two ways that might be able to tighten up this workflow to reduce the variability, give instructions in the prompts, and then also check where downloads are going from the virtual browser. And based off of that, tell the agent.
I see. Yeah, see, they're here though, so I don't know.
If you go up and click like the folder where it opens, can you just see where the files are?
Oh, they're removed.
I think it's because you stopped the run, and so I don't think they're saved on the virtual machine. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
If you hover over the screen, is there a button that says take over?
Here.
Yeah, click anywhere, take control. If you click that, and then if you click the folders, maybe if you see the file path, yeah, click the folder icon.
Yeah, I tried to do this. I don't know if it.
Oh, that wasn't working. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if it gives me access outside of Chrome.
I see.
Yeah.
Might as well let it run for another minute or so, and then we can call it. And as we debug it afterwards, we can share those learnings. But I think the main takeaway here is the merge video node, as Dill mentioned, is the main way to do it. And right now it's just buggy on Lindy's side. So this was a temporary workaround that we got working with about 10 different iterations prepping for today. with computer use, but can see there's a lot of variability when you use an agent and a virtual machine. So this is a very like hacky way to wrap this this whole flow up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that killed it though. So taking control interrupted it.
I think if you go back and you hit done, I think that'll. You probably could even prompt it there, like, hey, see if you can find file path.
Let's see.
Yeah, well, thanks everyone for joining. We'll send out the recap afterwards. If you have follow-up questions too as you build, let us know. For Worldwide Studios, we're education nonprofit where we've been helping people build with the latest, and we've been doing more intensive 2-hour build-alongs in community. So appreciate y'all joining. If you've got questions, feel free to send along. Thanks for joining, and glad you found it valuable, Ignacio. It was great to have you. Appreciate the questions.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And see you guys.
Yep. Thank you.
See ya. Take care.